I love a side quest. Last spring, I decided that I wanted to start collecting these Disney Fairies Pixie Hollow chapter books that I remembered reading growing up. I only had like 2 or 3, so it wasn't until I started this journey that I realized how many there were, not only of the books that I remembered, but other picture books and story books and chapter books. Just so many things, so many things. And so in the 10 months it took me to complete my chapter book collection, I got quite a few other Disney Fairies books, and I thought it would be fun for the sake of nostalgia to share all these books with you guys today. I did a huge mix of in-person and online searching. I would say it was pretty 50-50 as to where everything came from. For my in-person searching, it was mainly half-price books, Second and Charles, Twice Upon a Child, and like independent secondhand bookstores. And then online, everything pretty much came from thrift books, which is where the vast majority of my online purchases came from, as well as eBay and half-price books online. I just think it's so much fun collecting nostalgic things. And I'm just a very nostalgic person. I love finding things that I remember from my childhood, whether it just be a picture of it on Pinterest I can save to a board, or finding it in the bookstore and then being like, yeah, I want to collect them all. I was very much a Disney Fairies girl growing up. As mentioned, I had a couple of these chapter books that have just the most gorgeous art inside, and it just really immersed me into Pixie Hollow. And then when the movies started coming out, my sister and I were all about it. I remember playing Pixie Hollow with her. We'd have our stuffed animals and they'd be fairies, and we would try out different talents. Like I remember pretending to be like a cooking talent and cutting out pictures of cookies that I drew and passing it out to the stuffed animals. And of course, Pixie Hollow Online. Oh my God, I could never pick what talent I wanted. Like I would start it and then I'd want to make a new account the next time I logged in, because I wanted to be a water fairy at first and now I want to be a light fairy. It was all over the place. Most of the books in my collection focus on what I call the book characters and the book art. So it's like the art that I just showed you, and characters like Ronnie, Beck, Bess, then there's Lily and Fira and so many others, versus the movie and the kind of the 3D animation style with Fawn, Silver Mist, Rosetta, Iridessa. Those characters are also in the books, but in terms of my collection, I really just wanted the original art styles that I remembered. But I still love my movie fairies. I'm literally in the middle of a Pixie Hollow Tinkerbell movie rewatch. I figured we would start with the trilogy that started it all. Not my collection, but what started Pixie Hollow and just the whole world within it. These books are by Gail Carson Levine, and if that name sounds familiar, that would be because she wrote Ella Enchanted, as well as many other fantasy books that I remember reading growing up, and so I'm sure you do too. I did not ever even know these existed until I started collecting the chapter books and all these other picture books. I just assumed that I would never know the story of Mother Dove's broken egg, because at the beginning of every single one of these chapter books, there is about 2 pages worth of an intro, and I'll read the ending of it. Not far from the home tree, nestled in the branches of a hawthorn, is Mother Dove, the most magical creature of all. She sits on her egg, watching over the fairies, who in turn watch over her. For as long as Mother Dove's egg stays well and whole, no one in Neverland will ever grow old. Once Mother Dove's egg was broken, but we are not telling the story of the egg here. Now it is time for Tinkerbell's tale. And so growing up, my sister and I were always like, what's the story of the egg? That would be this book, Fairy Dust and the Quest for the Egg. Its sequel, Fairy Haven and the Quest for the Wand. And finally, Fairies and the Quest for Neverland. This one is my personal favorite out of the trilogy. Since I don't have any nostalgic ties to these books, I really enjoy them, but they're not my favorites. I respect them for the world building and introducing us to these characters, but these are a little darker than the books that I grew up reading, and I feel like in my eyes a lot of the fairies are mischaracterized in this trilogy, which sounds so silly to say, but I just remember reading it and being like, Tinkerbell would never do that. She would never do that. She would never say that. Not my Tinkerbell. But I love these books and I respect them for starting everything to me. And now it is time for my chapter books. So there's a total of 27, but I only ever had 25 of these books on my list while I was looking for them. Most of them, I did find them in person. Actually, I would say 50-50. I feel like half of these books I found in person, the other half I found online. Very commonly for the first, 12 books, you can find them for like $3 or less in multiple different bookstores, online, wherever. So whenever I see people doing like the first 4 book set for $50, I'm like, who do you think we are? Fools? No. However, like many things and many collectors I'm sure can relate to, there gets to a point in a collection where you're coming up on the rarer items, whether it be because they're more expensive or because they didn't make as many, or most of the time both. So it was super easy for me to start with, but then I did get to a point where some books I had to spend a little bit more than I had initially planned on, but it was lots of fun and so worth it. So now let's have a look at all of these books. The Trouble with Tink, Vidia and the Fairy Crown, Beck and the Great Berry Battle, Lily's Pesky Plant, Ronnie in the Mermaid Lagoon. I always pronounced her name Rainy growing up, but then I listened to an audiobook and they pronounced it Ronnie. So that's just how I've been pronouncing it since, but to each their own. Fira and the Full Moon, A Masterpiece for Bess, Prilla and the Butterfly Lie, Tink North of Neverland, Beck Beyond the Sea, Dulcie's Taste of Magic, Silvermist and the Ladybug Curse, Fawn and the Mysterious Trickster, Rosetta's Daring Day, Iridessa Lost at Sea, Queen Clarion's Secret, Micah Finds Her Way, Lily in Full Bloom, Vidia Meets Her Match, Bess Two Colorful Tales, which include Art Lessons by Bess and A Masterpiece for Bess. So there is a duplicate of A Masterpiece for Bess in my collection. However, Art Lessons by Bess, as far as I can tell, was never published in like a physical copy on its own, and so this was the only way for me to get it. 4 Clues for Ronnie, Trill Changes Her Tune, Tink in a Fairy Fix, Rosetta's Dress Mess, Ronnie and the Three Treasures, and finally Tinkerbell 2 Pirate Tales, which include Tinkerbell Takes Charge and Iridessa Lost at Sea. So there's a repeated Iridessa Lost at Sea, and I did not initially have Tinkerbell Takes Charge on my list. But when I found that these came together and I used a free book coupon on Thrift Books to get it, I mean, it was free. How could I pass it up? So with a little bit of patience and looking online a lot, it did not take me very long to complete this collection in terms of how long I thought it initially would. I thought it would be a couple years. It took me a little less than 10 months. There were definitely some books that I just kind of had to wait it out for. I just never saw them in person. I saved them on Thrift Books, and then one day they would pop up. Sometimes it would be like acceptable condition for $30. I'd be like, no way. And then maybe magically one day it would be in like new condition for 12, and so I would buy it then. The one book I do not have in my collection and I never put on my list was Iridessa and The Secret of the Neverminds. These books were all published between 2006 and 2012. The first Tinkerbell movie came out in 2008. So there was a pretty big overlap with the movies and the books. But the movies were kind of dwindling down, I would say, in 2012 because the last 2 movies came out in 2014. And so I feel like the high of the pixie dust wave was kind of dying down. And so Iridessa and The Secret of Neverminds was actually only ever published in Australia and New Zealand, and even the author did not receive a copy of the book, which I find that to be absolutely insane. Like, oh my God, send a copy to the author. So after seeing people's stories about trying to get this book, I was just like, not for me, not for me. Okay, maybe one day in the far future, but not on this current journey. As for the 3 rarest / hard to find books in my collection, I would consider that to be Rosetta's Dress Mess, Tink in a Fairy Fix, and Trill Changes Her Tune. Very commonly when these do pop up, and they do pop up fairly commonly, like once or twice a month, I would say, online, if not a little bit more. they're very expensive. Like, I've seen all of these books listed for more than $100. It's kind of insane. I got very, very lucky with my Tinkin' and Fairy Fix copy because my friend Anna was at a flea market in Pennsylvania and texted me a picture of a stack of these books and was like, hey, which ones are you missing? And this was fairly early on into my side quest. So she ended up picking 3 books for me, including Tinkin' and Fairy Fix. And so I got this bad boy for 50 cents. And technically, she didn't even make me pay her back, so I got this one for free. But it was literally 50 cents. I was like, this is commonly the selling line for $50. This is a steal. I feel like I'm robbing the place. Trill Changes Her Tune is the most expensive book in my collection, or at least the one that I spent the most amount on. I paid $50 for it, which might sound extreme, but it was towards the end of my collection and it was in like new condition, so I said yes please. And the hardest book for me to find, and what took me the longest, is Rosetta's Dress Mess. This was quite a journey. I had already known that it was going to be the most expensive or very high up there for books, because this is definitely one that's commonly listed above $100. And so I ordered it for over $100 last October because I just wanted to be done with it. And then it got lost in the mail. But they had wonderful customer service, so I got my refund. It was all good, it was all fine, but I had to just keep an eye on it. And then a couple weeks ago, it popped up on Thrift Books for $45. It went from $180, which was what it was originally listed as, to $45. And it's in very good condition. So I was like, yes, let me please complete my collection. So the vast majority of the books in my collection are $3 or less. That's how much I spent on them. The traditional half price cost, with them all originally being $6. But as I got towards the tail end, the last like 6 books, they just did not publish as many of these. So there are less copies out there, and then they're typically more expensive. But quite a few of the tail end books I still got for $10 or less. So it just takes a little bit of patience. Moving on, I have some recently published Pixie Hollow books. Many of these books are from the 2006 to 2012 range, but we have been getting some new Pixie Hollow books, which is so exciting. Last year, Wings of Starlight by Allison Saft was published, and this is a phenomenal book. I highly recommend checking it out. It is about Queen Clarion and Lord Mallory. If you have seen Secret of the Wings, you know that the reason why they can't cross into the Winter Woods and vice versa is because of these two right here. And so it is their love story, and it is very, very beautiful. As someone who holds Pixie Hollow so close to my heart, I was a little nervous about this book, but it totally lived up to expectations, and I think I need to reread it soon. Then I have Bleak Watch Chronicles, Tinkerbell and the Lost City by Zach Loran Clark. I think someone told me about this, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to check it out. This is really cool. And I love that there is pictures and little character descriptions of all the characters at the front, especially because pretty much all the characters in this book, except for Tinkerbell, are new to us. And it is just so, so cool. So I'll read the little blip on the back. Welcome to Bleakwatch, a hidden city of fairies living below the street of London. Here, Tinkerbell will befriend the Flutterpunks, Bleakwatch's most infamous band of trinket scavengers. Working together to find a mysterious necklace, they'll unknowingly uncover a villainous secret at the city's clockwork capital. It'll be up to Tinkerbell to set things right. Luckily, that's what Tinker Fairies do best. This is, I believe, a middle grade book, and it was so, so good, and it ended at a cliffhanger. So I actually need to do some digging as to when the next book is coming out, because it was so good. Moving on to some miscellaneous fairy books that I found as I was out looking in person and searching for the chapter books. I have The Disappearing Sun, A Fairy's Tale. This initially came with a necklace up here at the front, but obviously when it got to me, it was no longer in there. But it is just a cute little storybook about Fira, a light talent fairy, and it is just so cute. It's just a cutie little guy. I love it. Next up is The Fairy Without Wings. So this is about Ronnie, because if you don't know, or if you don't remember, Ronnie is the only fairy in Pixie Hollow without wings. She lost it on the quest for the egg. So if you've also ever wondered why she doesn't have wings, check out this book. It will give you answers. But this is just a cute little storybook, and I love Ronnie. She was one of my favorites growing up. This storybook collection is so cool. The official name is Disney Fairy Storybook Library. I found this on eBay one day and was like, yeah, I need this. The spine is fabulous. It has all of the fairies on it, or at least quite a few of them. I think it is so cool how when the spines are all put together and it lines up, it forms them all in the garden. It's so cute. But these are just little chapter books. I think quite a few of these ended up becoming like larger picture books. But the first 8 of these are in the original book art style, and then the last 4 are in the movie style, and they follow along Tinkerbell and the Lost Treasure. Speaking of storybooks, I have the storybook collection, which actually does have some repeated stories of those 12. I don't know, I haven't gotten a chance to reading this, so I don't know if it's like the exact same, just kind of shorter, or if it's just like a little different. This was such a fun find. And finally, we have the picture books. Now, I never had any of these picture books growing up, but whenever I've shared my collection, this is what people remember the most besides the chapter books that I was initially searching for. Secret Fairy Homes is probably my favorite picture book, and there's another one very similar to this that I want to find so badly. I think it's called A Visit with the Fairies or something like that. I'm waiting for it to be at a good price. That's the only current book that's like on my radar. But when you open it up, it tells you a little bit about the fairies and like them outside their house. And then you open it up and it's like a scavenger hunt. Like you get to see inside their house. Just the art is gorgeous and it has all of these little pieces around it. So I like playing it as a scavenger hunt, seeing what pieces I can find and where they have it. Like if I could live anywhere, it would be in one of these fairy houses. Like it's just so dreamy. I love it. The Hidden World of Fairies is super cute because this is like Wendy's field journal. I just rewatched The Great Fairy Rescue. So field journal, that phrase it's on my mind. And it's got so many fun little pop-ups, like a map of Pixie Hollow and a little like dictionary for animal languages and some like, I don't know, it's just got so many cute little things in it. I like it when books are interactive and you can like move things to the side for more information or to reveal a picture or whatever. I just think it's adorable. In the realm of the Never Fairies, the secret world of Pixie Hollow, this is like everything you need to know about Pixie Hollow. This one was published in 2006. So it very much goes along with the OG chapter books and the art style and just learning all about Pixie Hollow and its weird little niches and cute little fairies and lost things and so many fun, cool things. And finally is The World of Fairies at the Dawn of Pixie Hollow, which is actually the first fairy book in this collection. I got this around this time last year before I had even thought about collecting the chapter books. And it was just meant to be. I think this was my sign. But this is very similar to In the Realm of Never Fairies, but this one was published in 2009 after the movies had started coming out. So it's got a little bit of a different art style. We still have some of the book characters in here, like Lily. She's the only one I know of for sure in here. But it's very much in the movie art style. We see more of those characters and we get a little bit more about like the mainland and those things versus just Pixie Hollow, but just like everything else, the art in here is just gorgeous. And so that is my very magical Disney Fairies Pixie Hollow book collection that I have been working on for quite a while now. It has been lots of fun and I'm so happy that it's pretty much done. Besides the other Fairy Homes book, I don't have any that's like really on my list that like I'm actively looking for. It'll just be, if I like come across it, that would be cool. I just love all things nostalgia and Disney fairies. They just mean so much to me. Disney, please bring back Pixie Hollow and Walt Disney World. Please, you still have it in Disneyland and it better not leave. Okay, I love Pixie Hollow in Disneyland. I've only ever walked through it once when it was completely empty and it was magical. So please don't take it away. But they could at least bring back the Tinkerbell meet and greet at the beginning of Main Street in Magic Kingdom. I remember it being there. Bring her back. Anywho, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any memory of these books, let me know which books or which characters or what fairy talent you would have if you were in Pixie Hollow, or your favorite characters from the movies, or just anything about these books. I would love to hear about it. I would love to chat about it. And if you want more Pixie Hollow content, over the last 10 months when I've been looking for these books, I filmed all of it on shorts and my TikTok. So check out my playlists there for my little vlogs and hauls, because it was so fun. And honestly, I do not think I would have had as much fun or would have completed this collection so quickly if it wasn't for everyone's love and help finding things. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a flitterific day.